4 talented devs create a game based off the theme, manipulate your enemies. But there's a twist. Each new developer joins the growing team and can collaborate with everyone who came before, but previous devs get permanently locked out of the project. Was this partnership a masterclass in pulling the right strings? Or did too many tangled threads leave the marionette collapsed on stage? Let's find out by starting with dev number 1. So I'm dev number 1 this time. In the spirit of keeping things fair, I asked Mrs. Lazy to come up with the theme for this one.
The theme is manipulate your enemies.
And manipulate your enemies was a really interesting theme. And I guess since I've got a segment to myself, follow Amber's Tale on its Kickstarter page. It's a truly non-linear Metroidvania that allows you to explore the world in the order of your choosing by letting you pick the order you unlock abilities. There's also a super cool fishing minigame, so maybe that sells it to you. Now, to kick things off, I wanted to make the lives of the future devs as easy as possible. Not only for this challenge, but future challenges coming up. I started off by building a template project, setting up essentials like a main menu, a sound manager with volume controls, and an input system. I also made a little organizational asset to help with managing the game's structure. You know what I'm like when it comes to game organization. I also made a little document showing the devs how to easily set up and use every component so they spend less time troubleshooting and more time just making cool stuff. And then I jumped into the actual gameplay side of things. I built up a grid manager that allows me to build a grid of various sizes so we can have a bunch of custom levels for what I've decided is going to be a kind of tower defense game where you actually create the path the enemies take. I also set up a quick way to visualize what tile we were currently hovering over. Then adding a little variety to the landscape, things like adding trees and little mountains that you're not going to be able to build on, just to add another layer of potential strategy to the game. And I did all this using a Kenny's asset pack just for ease. Then threw a quick camera control system in place and we have the foundation for our game. Now we needed to build a goal. I set up a tower that spawned with one piece of road attached to it already. That was randomly spawned generally around the center of the map. And as for actually extending the path, I basically just made a list of prefabs of the future tiles to place. I kept it simple, kind of hoping that the future devs will set up a much cleaner way of acquiring new tiles. Maybe some kind of shop system, for example. Now, the enemy spawner is actually set up in such a way that it's always placed at the furthest connected row tile from the tower. And then as soon as we actually had the enemies following the path, we needed some kind of defense. Now, I was running short of time at this point, so I only had time to implement one defense type, which was a cannon. That being said, though, I did try to keep it as modular as possible, meaning that future devs should be able to make lots of different defense types without having to actually code anything. They can just mix and match the different variations and settings on these scripts. For example, just changing the targeting script to target the closest enemy rather than the furthest forward in the pack. And then last of all, I added a health bar. And that was me done. Finished. It was a very long few days. But I'm super happy with the foundation that we've created. Hopefully it's open-ended enough for the future devs to do something crazy with it. So I'm going to give myself a 7 out of 10. And yeah, I look forward to seeing what the rest of the devs do with this. Tired of spending hours debugging Unity code instead of just creating? Meet Bezi, an AI development partner that actually understands your project. Bezi writes custom code, builds shaders, and implements new mechanics in minutes. So if you need a fix, Bezi pinpoints the problem and codes the solution. If you want to understand a complex system, it breaks it down for you instantly. It even helps you identify performance bottlenecks and move towards more efficient optimizations quickly. With agent mode, Bezi doesn't just suggest changes, it makes them directly in Unity for you. And don't worry, your project integrity and data privacy are totally secure, so your project stays 100% yours. If you're interested in checking out Bezi, there is a free tier to help you get started at bezi.com.
Hi everyone, I'm Liam and I'm the second developer of the challenge. I kind of want to make a mechanic that's going to make the game a little bit more unique. We already have a pretty nice tower defense, just simple tower defense, except there's a little bit of a unique twist where you can actually extend the road and then the enemies spawn at the end of the roads you placed. And I thought about how I could expand that further. And initially I was thinking about like Tetris pieces, making the roads more like multi-tiled Tetris pieces, and I thought that would be an interesting idea, but I wasn't sure if I had time. So I decided to instead try out a bit of a card system. So I ended up adding a manager for cards and a way to animate the cards around and drag them and play them and discard them. And so hopefully the following devs would do something interesting with these cards now that there's sort of a base system where you get random tiles on your cards. But adding cards was not the only thing that I wanted to add. I also wanted to tweak the visuals a bit to give it more of a toy kind of feel, because I thought it was leaning towards that with the Kenny assets. So I did a little bit of color correction to make it a bit more vibrant, and then also added some tilt shift kind of looking depth of field, which took a little bit to get right, but I think it got pretty close without spending too much time on it. I think it looks pretty nice for the relative simplicity of the models and lighting and post processing effects that were available in a short amount of time. And then I also saw that the enemies didn't have any model, so I looked into the Kenny assets and I saw that there was like an alien sort of flying saucer type model, so I put those on the enemy model, and so we might get a little bit more of an alien theme, even though that's kind of already like a castle theme. So we'll see how that conflicts. So yeah, those were my contributions to the challenge. And normally this would be the part where someone advertises something, but I'm going to say, just wish me luck. I'm going to university in like 2 weeks. Yeah. So that's exciting. Anyway, that's all.
Hi, I'm Biggs.
Hiya!
A withering old man who does the YouTubes for some reason. And here I am trying not to fuck up this game. Whenever I take part in these kinds of challenges, I usually go in with the intention of doing the boring little things that don't get noticed because, well, someone has to. So imagine my surprise when the project arrived in my inbox as a basically complete game. This put me in a bit of a situation because now I couldn't just fix bugs because, well, there weren't any. I was going to have to add something. I played the game for a bit and one thing immediately stood out. We have these cards representing things that we can put down, but there was no incentive to be strategic. You just put the cards down or trash them until they're all gone and then the wave starts. So my first order of business was making the cards strategic, which I did so with the completely unique, never been done before mechanic of giving them cost. The player has balance that they can spend on the cards, and they can trash cards to get 1 money back. I didn't come up with a currency, so let's just say 1 chipolata. So, a road costs 1 chipolata, whereas a road corner costs 2 chipolatas, and a cannon costs 3 chipolatas. The value of trashing a card is always 1 chipolata. Next, I added these little floating number doodads that hover over something that's just been hit, showing the amount of damage that was dealt. I only use them for damage, but I built the system so that you could just give the number manager an amount, a location, and a colour, and it handles everything else automatically. So they could be used for other things, like showing how much chipolatas you just earned. This is also a completely unique and never been done before mechanic. At this point, I turned my attention to squanch, or juice. The first thing I did was give the UFO enemies some bob, which immediately made things feel a little less static. The bob uses a sine function to modify the height of the UFO along with a random offset so they don't all bob in perfect unison. Next up, a bit of camera shake and some particles to give the attacks a bit of weight. Pro tip, if you want anything in game to feel weighty, just wobble the camera around a bit. Works every time. I still had time for a few more mechanical changes, so I added the ability to buy new hands of cards as mitigation against the occasional absolutely shit deal. And then I came up with a convoluted enemy spawning algorithm to give the game a sense of escalating difficulty. Enemies are stored in a list in ascending order of difficulty. Each time an enemy is spawned, a random enemy is chosen from the list but weighted by the player's current wave. So if the player is on a high wave number, the chances of one of the tougher enemies spawning is much higher. There's also a hard cap on the enemy difficulty, so you'll never see a level 10 difficulty enemy on wave 3, for example. And thus concludes my modest contribution to this tower defense game about aliens attacking wizards. We're supposed to rate the game at the end of our turn, and I would give this, at this point, a 7 out of 10. Visually, it is most of the way there, though the UI needs a bit of work. I did briefly try making some art for the cards, then I remembered I'm not an artist. Gameplay-wise, the game already feels fun, and honestly, I think it just needs a bit more content and a bit of balancing, maybe. Huge thanks to Lazy for having me. If you weren't put off by this segment, I make game dev video essay type things, and I would love your validation. Good luck to the next dev. Hope you enjoy the video.
Hi, we're CozyCoupleCoding, and we're the last developers working on this really cool project. We have a small channel on YouTube, and if you want to check out one of our games, it's on Steam. It's called Find Eden, and if you're curious what it is, it's a cozy game about cats. So if you're that kind of person, I think you will like it.
I'm the developer in our team, and she's the game designer. She draws everything and I take care of the code. We received the project and it was amazingly well done. So whoever from the previous developers created this architecture and all those singleton classes, great job, it was amazing. We noticed some stuff missing from the game, like many UI, some balancing, there were some bugs there, not sounds, not so many effects. Those effects that were there, they were still amazingly done, but we still wanted to add our contribution to it. I'm a huge fan of board games. I saw this card mechanic and we decided to focus on that area. So the first thing that I added was a deck building mechanic where every second wave you receive a random card that you can choose and it goes right into your deck, which can get shuffled and you can receive it.
When I first looked at the game, I really loved the way that it was so clean and 2 colors basically. I just felt like I wanted to enhance that by maintaining that very clean and nice style. So I wanted to add some juice. So the first thing that we focused on, as he said, was the cards. So I made a card design, the coin that you need.
And afterward, we wanted to add something fun to the game. So we went and designed our first 3D model, a cow.
Our first 3D model that we used in a game. Yeah, we very rarely 3D model anything. So we sat down together and came up with this cow. And it became very oversized. And that's why we named him Chunk. He became the main character for us in this game, and that's why we also called the game Cow versus Alien, because we don't even care about mankind. It's about the cows. And the cow had this amazing ability to stop and completely distract the alien. And obviously the way that these aliens are going to react to the cow is wanting it. And they will abduct it.
I also added some animations to the trash, to the buttons, to the cards, some sounds. I added a hover so it explains what each card represents, and a small tutorial. We didn't have quite a lot of time to design a nice fancy tutorial with videos that shows you how to play.
We moved around some of the UI and created a cool main screen for the main menu where I had the honor to draw something really cool, and the reference of that was this, and it turned into this. So I was having a lot of fun. I tried out a new art style and it was very interesting.
Yeah, but she understood it and did something amazing. In the last stretch, I added more towers and more cards. We created a new card, an ability that you can use on your main tower. I was so hooked into creating this game because it's such a cool mechanic overall. I mean, you create your own road, you manipulate the enemy however you want, and then you also receive cards that you don't know what you're gonna get. And you have road cards, abilities, towers, and obstacles like Chunk. We love Chunk.
Yes, you have to hear how Chunk appears on the scene. Like, it's godly.
Yeah, sadly we were very busy with work and life, so this is our contribution to the game. We wish we could add so much more to it, like more biomes, more randomness, to make it more balanced.
It was so fun to see how other people created a game and how we can add to it. Honestly loved it from the get-go.
Yeah. How would you rate the game?
I'd say at the current state it's like a 6 to 7 because there are still bugs and it needs to be a bit more balanced.
Fair enough.
But I would give it like an 8 to 9 as potential.
I would go with the same. 8 as a potential. I really like this deck building game.
I'm going towards 9 because of Chunk.
If you liked our contribution to the game, please let Lazy know to have us in more challenges. Let's see how the developers react to the game.
But yeah, no, it was a solid premise by the time it got to me. I was just like, well, how the hell do I add to it? Giving the cards like a cost system so that there was an impetus to be tactical with your card choices and things like that.
I have 2 little coins to make money.
Yes.
That doesn't make sense.
It sounds right.
I was like, okay, so there's a good amount to work on here and the code is clean. So, you know, we could just go with like a very basic tower defense, but I like to have like always a slight twist in there.
It's so cool to see like the game come together after getting the card systeming and then it basically becoming like a deck builder. Like, that's so cool.
Ooh, what's this now? We can get a free road corner or we can get a slowing road, which is new. That wasn't in it last time I played. Nice.
did these guys do buttons? And like, what did they do in the UI UX? It looked like, what can I even add? And then I was like, yeah, I can do stuff. And then I started drawing and I went crazy.
Ooh, ooh. Wait, those effects are amazing.
Those cards, I really like them. No offense to your cards, Beaks. Yours were great.
No, I put that message in Discord about, for the love of God, change the cards for a reason. Ooh, the new cards look nice. These nice particle effects. We've got a health bar. We have actual UI elements. Oh, we've even got little tooltips as well. Ooh, some squishy noises. I love it.
Whoever did the particle effects, absolutely magnificent job. And the card art, it's amazing.
We listened to your advice and we sat down and wrote 4 pages of features, and then we organized those into like what should be done, what is nice to have, what is something unique and funny to add our own fingerprint on the game.
Like at a certain point, like I felt like it wasn't getting any harder. Like it was kind of just spawning more of the same thing, and it was just kind of, you know, falling to my defenses.
Take a wrong step early on, you're kind of screwed. Like there's no recovering. This had kind of the opposite problem, which is if you get off to a good start, you basically can't fail almost.
Oh no,
oh,
no,
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 Kitty,
no,
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 no, no, 4 waves.
Wow, that was too bad.
So I would try adding some enemies, maybe even like a boss, like just like different types of things to fight against. That maybe you have to be a bit more creative with where you place things.
It somehow turned out into cows running from aliens, and I just loved that.
It was very bamboozled to see aliens in the kingdom.
Yes, medieval kingdom.
The cow. We've got to get the cow. We have to have a cow.
I laughed when I saw the cow. It was on the main menu, so I was like, "There's cows," and then I was playing it, and I was like, "Wait, I don't see any cows," and I just kind of forgot about it, and then I just got the cow in my deck, and I was like, "Wait, I could just place cows down."
What? A cow? Or a slowing road? Oh, well, we have to get the cow.
Yeah, Chunk!
Yay!
You can choose the best star in the game or the cow.
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 All day long.
We may be too OP. Oh no, they got to the cow. Poor Bessie. Oh.
Full on going to the farmer's market, selling the cows, getting some money to defend against the aliens, against your wizard tower, you know, just a normal Tuesday.
Oh, I love the direction this is going.
Me too.